Hello Unicorn friends, today I'm going to tell you a little story about my growing up as a child and how I became a serial entrepreneur at the age of 10 years old. I'm a unicorn, I don't do things like normal people. So today I'm going to give you some tips if you want to be self-employed, you want to have freedom and space to be creative. Then working for somebody else I would find very restrictive. So for most of my life I've been self-employed for 34 years, and today I'm going to teach you some tips and tricks about how to start your own business and how to fail in a business and how to recover from a failure in a business. And if you want to escape the normal rat race world of having a job, then this advice might help you, it might not. Everybody's different, everyone's mind is different, everyone's experience is unique. So not everybody can be self-employed, not everybody wants to be self-employed. But if you do want to be self-employed, then this information I'm going to give you today may help you to get over that initial hump and decide to go and start your own business. So, how do you even begin to start a business? Well, when I was about six years old, roughly, more or less 6, 7, 8 years old, I started to learn what the trade was. You go to a shop, you spend money, they give you stuff, I started to learn what money was and how to make money. And my first introduction to this was a sweet shop. So I had jars of sweets and scales, and I would bulk buy sweets and sell them in small packages just to get a feel for commerce. So I understood about profits and loss and stock and various other aspects of business. And then I would, at the same time, I would also help my dad in his business. He was a printer. So on a Saturday morning I'd go to work with him, and maybe I would help some of the other workers packing boxes. He was a printer, so he would, things would come off the production line, they'd need to be packaged in boxes and stacked and then sent off to the customer. So sometimes I would go in and I'd help some of the workers doing mostly box packing, because I was only like 6, 7, 8 years old, so at that time I couldn't run the machines. But I watched the machines. I'm fascinated by science and technology, so I learned how to use the machines as well, but by observing, and also my dad helped to teach me how the machines worked. And at the end of the day, the staff would give me like £1 or £2 as a tip for helping them. And I was like, okay, so if I help people to solve a problem, they give me money. And so as a little kid, I'm like, okay, well, this is an interesting concept. So if I have something that other people want, then I can sell that thing to somebody and they give me money, and then I can use the money to buy what I want. So by the time I got to 10 years old, I understood everything I needed to know about how to run a business and make money. So I decided that I was going to start my own business. I didn't want to work for my dad in doing box packing for £2. This wasn't enough money for me. I wanted to make more money, so I was like, what can I do to actually use the skills that I've learned up to the point of being 10 years old? I was still a kid. I didn't have that many skills at that time, but I knew how to do printing. So this was back in 1990, so it was before the internet took off, before there was computers and digital technologies, no mobile phones, nothing like that. So if you're a businessman, then the primary form of getting new business is through a business card. So you design a business card, and then when you meet a prospective client, you give them the business card, and people used to connect this way. Far more than they do now. Now it's mostly with social media and things like that, but in the good old days, business cards were incredibly important. So I was I'm going to run a business printing business cards for other businesses. And so you can imagine being 10 years old, trying to get work. Okay, so imagine this, you're a shop on the high street, 10-year-old kid comes in, says, "Hi, I'm a printer and I'd like to offer my services to you. I can print business cards, letterheads, compliment slips, posters, and kind of marketing materials. Are you interested in having any work done?" And 99% of the time they laugh at you and say, "What the hell are you doing? You're a kid, go away." So it's really hard when you're 10 years old to convince someone that you're actually serious. So getting my first customer was really, really difficult. But every weekend, nearly every Saturday, we'd go for lunch in Wimpy. I don't know if you're familiar with Wimpy. It's a brand of burger fast food restaurant. And I used to go there and talk. We were quite friendly with the owners, so we talk with them every day. And one day I said, "Is there any chance you need any business cards being printed?" And because they knew me, it was a little bit easier to get my foot in the door the first time around. So I said to them, "I can print you some business cards at less than half the price of a standard printing business." So I went around to other printers and I asked them for price lists. How much does it cost for business card printing in various quantities and posters and things like that? And I got a list of what other people would charge for the services that I was going to offer. And I slashed the price 50% and made offers to businesses that I would print you as good quality for half the price. So my first customer was Wimpy. I printed them some business cards. It was quite a simple job. It was a simple card. It was just red ink on a white background, and printed it, gave them the cards, they were happy, and they gave me my first sample that I put into my portfolio that I could then take to other prospective clients in the future. So what I did was basically on a Saturday I was normally out at school. I'm 10 years old, I'm in primary school, so during the week I would go to school, and then on a Saturday I would go to all the different businesses in my local town, just on the high street or other places, or I'd look through the old yellow pages and find local businesses that I thought might be suitable people to ask. So I contacted lots and lots of people, and I offered my services to print business cards and posters and things like that. And work absolutely kicked off. I was working all the time. At weekends I was constantly in the factory printing cards, and it was all manual back in the day because I was only 10, so I didn't have these monster printing machines. So I had what's called an Adana. It's a hand press. I'll put a picture up to show you what an Adana looks like. So you have an ink wheel, a platen, and then a hand press. So you put the piece of card in the machine or paper, you press it down manually, and then you take the card out and you repeat hundreds and hundreds of times, depending on how many things have been ordered. So I did this for 2 years. I was making about £25 an hour. And you can imagine back in 1990, that's a lot of money. In today's money, it's probably £50 an hour. So as a 10-year-old kid, I was making, in today's money, £50 an hour. And I had a great time. I really liked printing. I like creative stuff. So if you take a blank piece of paper, go through a process and end up with a product that benefits somebody else's life and their business, and this process that you're doing is quite fun, and you don't do it purely for the money, but you do it because you actually like doing the thing, whatever that thing is for you. If you like doing the thing, then it doesn't matter so much how much money it makes in the future, because doing the thing itself is actually enjoyable. Because when you're starting a business, quite often you have to work for nothing. You don't get any money in the beginning. But it can take a long time before you actually start to be profitable, depending on what type of business you go into. So to be making £50 an hour as a 10-year-old kid, it was insane. I was getting pocket money, like £1 or £2 a week pocket money, and then all of a sudden I'm earning £50 an hour just having a bit of fun, basically, helping local businesses. But this business it grew a little bit, but it wasn't really what I thought was going to be a long-term career job for me. I enjoyed printing, but seeing my dad own a printing company and what he had to do every day, everything, it was like, I like it, but it's not my passion enough to want to do it for a long period of time. So when I was 12, I stopped doing printing and changed to my next business, which was magic. Unicorn, I am a magical being, so I learned how to do magic shows, and I started, when I was 12, I started doing children's birthday parties. So I would basically have a whole load of tricks. I would go to an event somewhere, either some person's house, or they hire a hall or something like that, and it'd be full of screaming children, like 30 kids just running around going absolutely mental. And then I appeared, stood in front of the children, and then for 1 hour, absolute silence. The parents were like amazed at how I could take a room full of screaming kids, and all of a sudden everything is absolute dead silent, and they're just transfixed watching me do some magic. And I ended up being really quite famous. I was on TV, I was in newspapers all the time. Somewhere I have my box of memorabilia. I'll see if I can dig it out one day and show you my magic history. But I did mostly children's birthday parties, but I also did close-up magic in restaurants. I did this for free. But I would go up to a table in a restaurant that were waiting for their food and ask them if they would like to see some magic. Most people would like magic, so they would say yes, generally. Some people said no, then, some people, if you're on a date with someone, you don't want some random kid coming up to you. But in most cases, people would say, yeah, why not, show me a trick or two. So I'd do some close-up magic with these people in the restaurant, just at their table, using the things that were around me. I do magic with either possessions of the people, or I would do it with money, or my favourite was playing cards, because playing cards are universal in the world. Everywhere has playing cards. So if you learn card magic, you can do magic anywhere, for anyone, at any time. So I did a lot of card magic. And then at the end of the tricks, I do 3 or 4 tricks, and they were like, wow, this is amazing. And then sometimes they'd give me a tip. They'd give me a few pounds as a little tip for entertaining them for a few minutes. And I became quite popular, and I was at one point working nearly every single weekend. Obviously I needed a little bit of help from my parents because I was 12, so I couldn't go to these events, so my parents would drive me. I would do magic shows and then come home, and at that point of doing magic shows I was maybe earning, back in the day it was £50 an hour, so it's probably now closer to £100 an hour with inflation if I was doing it today. So if you imagine 12 to 16 years old, and I'm earning £100 an hour, I felt like a king. It was really cool. So that's a brief introduction to my history as an entrepreneur. So I want to now go into some details about how to actually start a business. How do you find what you're going to do, and how do you actually get customers to buy your product or service or whatever you're offering? So let's go through some tips. So if you're going to run a business, there's 2 important factors. There is your mind. Your mind and your environment. Everybody has a unique mind, and everybody's unique mind is in a unique environment. So you have to analyze your environment to find things that you can be useful at. So you have to identify something in your environment that you can change. So let's just pick a few random examples. Well, maybe we'll use the examples that I actually did myself. So printing. So in my local environment, so my town, I was in southeast London at the time, in a small town just on the edge of London in Kent called Bexley Heath. And because we're back in 1990, there was no internet. Basically the only way to find new business is to actually go out physically and talk to people, or to write letters to companies, or call them on the phone. There's basically, or advertise in a newspaper. There was no way I could afford TV advertising at the time. So I analysed my environment. I was like, what skills do I have? So my mind, what skills, what knowledge, and what product can I make to influence my environment? So I had skills in printing, things that I either taught myself or that I learned from my dad. I had a lot of knowledge about printing. Back in the days, it was all made by little pieces of lead. Each font had a whole tray of lead pieces. So if on a computer you select font and everything upgrades instantly. In the old days, you would pull out this huge drawer full of thousands of pieces of lead with all the different fonts and all the different letters, and you'd build manually, letter by letter, using spacers and things to build a platen. And this platen would then go into the machine, and then that's what would be covered in ink and print the business cards. Now, I knew how to build these, I had the skills to do it. So combining my skills and my knowledge, I was able to produce a product, business cards, that enabled the businesses that were in my local environment to get them more customers. So they would benefit by having a marketing material that they could hand out to their prospective customers. So by me learning a skill and having some knowledge that could produce a product, I could sell these to people in my environment, and then they could use my knowledge, skills and products to improve their business. So I help them, they help me in a cyclical fashion. The same when I was doing magic shows. So in my local environment, lots of people, lots of children, lots of parties. How can I use the skills and knowledge that I have to create something that's going to make somebody want to buy my information, buy my skills, buy my knowledge? And by demonstrating that I could basically hypnotize a room full of children, these are usually between 3 to 9-year-old kids, I could make them quiet for an hour. In terms of parents' minds, I'm some kind of mystical god who can make children shut up and sit down and be quiet for such a long period of time, especially with ADHD kids and all sorts of things. So by using these things that I was developing personally, I could take a room full of kids and calm them down and give the parents 1 hour break. So my skills would change the environment of the family, the parents of these parties. And because I was good at what I did, they would tell their friends. And their friends would tell their friends. And with almost no advertising, I had calls every week for shows. And I did this for 4 years, doing magic shows. It was great. And until I moved to America, I continued doing this, but when I came back from America, I quit doing magic for for business. It was more for fun. And then I moved into a completely different field for my next business, which I'll talk about later. Okay, so as I say, you need to have your mind and your environment calculated. So what can you do to build your skills, knowledge and your products? The key that I found is most important is to do something that excites you. If you are excited by something, it triggers massive amounts of dopamine in your brain and it pushes you forward to do this thing. But you have to have no insistence on why you're doing this thing for a reason. You can't, if you're saying, I'm only going to do this because it's going to get me this in the future, this is the wrong way to go about starting a business. You need to start the business from a point of view that I'm doing this because I enjoy this and this is fun for me to do, regardless of any outcome. I did magic because I liked magic. It happened to get to a point where I was good enough that I could charge money for my skills. But to get to that point first, I had to learn the skills. I had to get the knowledge first of what magic was and learn everything. And then I had to practice and practice and practice and practice and practice to get the skill to apply that knowledge in a practical way that I could produce a product, which was me to go to a birthday party and do a show. So you need to find something that you like. Maybe you're a musician, maybe you love playing the guitar. You need to play the guitar until your fingers bleed and play every day with no insistence on that I'm going to be a famous guitar player in the future. It's irrelevant. All you can focus on is what you're doing right now. So every day for hours and hours and hours, I'd practice magic. I'd practice in front of a mirror, I'd practice in front of my friends, I'd practice in front of smaller random people in a restaurant for free just to get some experience. Before I ever started to make money from it, I was doing shows all the time for free, just so that I could get used to talking to an audience. Talking to a camera is really weird because there's no feedback from a camera. So I find it a little bit weird when there's no actual people to get some feedback from. But I would practice and practice and practice until I had enough skills that I could sell those skills in a product. So find something that excites you, practice that as much as you can to the best of your ability with the things that you have in your environment. If you don't know what you want to do, first have a look at your environment, because your environment is unique to you. If you grow up in a small town in the USA compared to if you grow up in Tokyo, it's a completely different environment. So your opportunities for business are completely different. Your environment it basically dictates what you're capable of doing. But now we live in the digital world of internet, so your environment is now Earth. So through digital media, you can actually approach a far wider range of potential customers. And with internet now basically completely ubiquitous over the entire planet, you could work anywhere if your business is internet-based. So if you don't want to be an internet-based business, if you want to work directly with your environment, look at your environment and think, how can I be useful to other people? Say you're a child and you want to be useful to someone. What can you do in your local area that is going to improve other people's lives that they'd be willing to give you some compensation for? So maybe you want to do some gardening or wash cars or be a printer, be a magician, or maybe you want to make some lemonade stand or something. Just anything. It doesn't matter what it is, but use your imagination to work on something that you can do in your environment that's useful to other people. For example, if you want to start a business being an accountant, your usefulness is basically helping other people to reduce their taxes and not get arrested for tax evasion. So you learn what it means to be an accountant, and you practice those skills until you've got enough knowledge and skills that you can sell those products as an accountant to somebody, and then they pay you because you're useful to them. In all commerce, people buy your product or service because it helps their lives improve. You're either helping them to be happier, be entertained, or to survive. So maybe you're selling them food, for example, or you're a nurse and you're helping these people that are sick to feel better. Whatever it is that you're doing, you're being useful to somebody else, and they're going to exchange money for that useful service. So find something in your environment that you can change. There's going to be all sorts of, there's an infinite number of things that you can do. So I can't talk about every possible option here, but say you see a product. If you're going to see a product, how can I take something that already exists and change that product somehow to make people buy it from me rather than from a competitor? So, for example, printing like business cards. So how can I make this product either better, cheaper, so you're either trying to make some existing product, you're either trying to make it better, make it cheaper, or you're trying to redesign the concept to introduce a new product to replace it. This is key for technology. For example, at one point there were no cars. And then Henry Ford was like, I'm going to build an automated carriage. And he made the first car. Before then, there was no product that could be made better or made cheaper. But there was horse and cart, which is a very limited form of transport, because you're limited to how fast the horse can go, how much weight the horse can pull. And you've got to feed the horse and everything else. So if you can replace an existing product with a new invention, then you can absolutely transform the world. The first PC absolutely revolutionized the world. The first mobile phone revolutionized the world. The internet revolutionized everything. So if you're going to replace an existing product with something that is doing the same job but in a completely different way and much better, then you're going to absolutely transform the whole world. Cars, in 100 years have completely revolutionized everything that we do. And now we're moving into a new era. Instead of internal combustion engines, we're moving into electric cars and things like that. But the basic principle is the same. It's still a wagon which doesn't require an animal to drive it. You can, if you're going to make an existing product better and cheaper. So what I did with business cards is they weren't necessarily better than any other business cards, but they were cheaper. My business cards price list was 50% less than all the other people that I was competing with. And when I did magic shows, everybody else was charging double what I would charge for a show. I would charge maybe £40–50 for a show back in 1992. Other people were charging £80 to £100 a show. So I was getting a lot of the work that the other people were charging more for. And I had an opportunity that I could lower my prices because I was a kid and I had no expenses. I had no children, no house to pay for. So I could afford to do things cheaper. So there are other things that you can do to optimize. You make something more efficient. Efficiency. So if you're going to try to take a process that's very labor intensive and you can think of a new way to conceptualize the production of something to make it more streamlined, so you can cut the cost of production of something by a significant amount by automation and maybe using robots or some other production system that makes the product able to be made cheaper by becoming more efficient, then you can use that way to use your mind to create better, cheaper, efficient and replace existing products. But what if you want to think of something completely new? Something that doesn't exist yet? How do you do that? How do you take something in your brain and then think, okay, how can I turn this idea, which is nothing, it's just thought waveforms, how do you turn the thought waveforms into a physical product that people want to buy? I did this when I was 30 years old. I started an electronics company. I was building lighting products, and these lighting products were used all over the world in hundreds and hundreds of festivals and nightclubs, and I had an absolutely amazing time building these toys. So how did I start from... I had no experience in electronics, I had no experience in stage lighting, I had no experience in manufacturing anything new. I'd had manufacturing experience in printing, but printing is fairly basic. You're taking a piece of paper or a piece of card, putting it through a machine that puts ink onto a piece of paper. So it's a fairly basic process. There are ways of doing quite amazing, complicated things with printing, but still it's basically taking something plain, put it through a process, and it comes out at the end looking different. But when you're designing new products like electronics, how do you actually conceptualize something and then build a prototype and turn it into a business? So first you need an idea, and one of the benefits of ADHD is my brain is absolutely on fire all the time, thinking of a million different ways that I can do stuff better than other people currently do it, or have new ideas that people have never thought of before. So I decided that I was going to start an electronics company with no plan really. I just did it. I had enough money at the time that I could afford to start the business. So I employed an electronics engineer, and I bought a whole load of manufacturing equipment, SMT placement machines and other electronics design hardware, and I started to build lighting products. My customer lists include Nintendo, Nike, Subfocus, countless festivals and Gadget Show. All have had products that I've used in their shows and in shops and various other. It was basically mostly festivals and nightclubs, but I also did some corporate product launches. I launched the Nintendo 3DS, which is really fun. But I didn't know what I was doing. Everyone thought I was crazy when I said I wanted to start a business. But I did it anyway. One of the key things is don't listen to don't listen to negative people. People will shut down your ideas straight away. You're like, I've got a great idea for doing something. If you tell someone, there's a high probability that they're going to say, oh, that's a stupid idea, no one's going to care, no one's going to do it, no one's going to buy it, you're just wasting your time, blah, 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 blah. And they'll list off a whole million negative things about your idea. I had this every time I ever started a business. I had it when I was 10, I had it when I was 12, I had it when I was 21, I had it when I was 30, it doesn't change ever. Whatever you do, there'll be some negative arsehole who will go, there's no point doing that, you're not going to be successful, most businesses fail, blah, 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 come up with all this other bullshit that's completely irrelevant. That you just need to try to filter this information out. Because if you let those thoughts enter your brain and control you, and it's like, oh, okay, well maybe I shouldn't bother. Well, maybe no one's going to like my art. Why bother making paintings? No one's going to buy them. You know, no one likes the music that I write. You know, all those other horrible things that people start to feel when people are negative to their ideas. Find people who are supportive of your dream. If you have a dream, say your dream, I want to be a singer, and you practice every day, you're singing, you're going to bars and you're doing some shows and things like that, but you're not famous yet, but you're doing it because you love to do it. And then over time, with more and more practice, you'll get better skills and you'll get better knowledge, and you'll become a sellable product. And then we live in a world of commerce where you have to have something to offer to people. Otherwise, why would they give you anything? You know, you have to find something, anything that you can market. And if you can't do that, you can't have a job. If you don't have any skills whatsoever, no one's going to employ you. You have to be able to do something beneficial to someone, even if you're having a job. Let alone if you want to run your own business. Running your own business is far more difficult than having a job, because in a job you generally have one specific thing that you have to do. Whereas in a business, you have to be everything. You have to be the marketing, you have to be the production manager, you have to be the assistant, you have to be everything that's possible. You have to do yourself, unless you are rich enough at that point to employ other people to do your jobs for you. If you can delegate other things to other people, then great. But until you get to the point where you have enough money to employ someone, you have to do everything yourself, which means you have to understand accounting, you have to understand taxes, you have to understand business law, you have to understand whatever skill it is that you're trying to sell to people, and then you have to be able to market that skill. You have to be able to manage customers, you have to be able to do all these things on your own. So it's not just, oh, I'm going to learn how to do magic. So I learned how to do magic, I practiced the magic, I had the product, but then you've got to do the marketing, and you've got to actually turn that knowledge into an actual profitable business. You know, most businesses aren't successful. A lot of people fail in business, but failing is not a problem. If you learn from your mistakes and apply that information that you've learned to your next business, then failing is not a failure, it's just a lesson. You know, I've had many businesses that haven't worked out as planned. I lost lots and lots of money in certain things, but it doesn't matter because I learned something from those failures. Okay, let's see, how can we figure out what we're going to do? So you've looked at your environment, and you've identified some kind of problem in your environment where you're able to offer somebody a solution. That's basically all of businesses are basically trying to solve somebody's problem. Okay, so if you're looking for a new business opportunity, then follow your excitement. Okay. Excitement is the most important part of business. If you're not excited about your product, nobody's going to be interested in you whatsoever. If you're going to stand up in front of for example, Dragon's Den, you're a business person, you're going to Dragon's Den, and you're doing a pitch, and you're trying to get them to invest money into your business. You have to show that you are excited about your product, and try to get them to also be excited about your product. So find what excites you. So if you want to find what you find most exciting, then imagine a world where there is no money, and you have every day is 100% available for you to do whatever you want to do that's the most exciting thing for you. But at the end of the day, you will get no money for what you've done. Yeah? So you've got 24 hours. 8 hours of sleep. Most people have a job. So say you've got 8 hours at work. You've then got another 8 hours other stuff. Cooking, cleaning, exercising, all the things that you need to do to maintain your lifestyle. So imagine that at the moment you don't have a job. Yeah? So you don't have any work. So you've got another 8 hours. Hours of other stuff. So you've now got 16 hours from the point that you wake up to the point you go to bed. There's 16 hours that you can fill with things that excite you. So what do you do? It's completely personal to you. But what do you do for those 16 hours? So my day, basically, I fill my day with fitness, food, music, dancing, photography, web design, making content, playing with my dog. So on a typical day, these are things that I do for fun, not for money. I do these things not because they get me something later on. I do these things because I enjoy doing them. And they just so happen that later on they generate money. But I don't do them specifically to make money. In all of my businesses I've ever had, I have not done something specifically for the money. I start to do something because I enjoy it, because it's exciting to me, because it fills me with joy, because I'm helping somebody else's life be more enjoyable at the same time. So when you're doing magic shows for kids, they're absolutely mesmerised, they love it. You know, this look on a kid's face when you completely bend their brain is great fun. I love it. So even if I don't get money at the end of it, I get satisfaction and joy from the process itself, not from the end result of £50 in my pocket, but because I've spent an hour having some fun, making some kids feel special for an hour. The same with printing, you know, I enjoyed the actual process of printing itself. It wasn't, I didn't have to get money at the end of it in order to enjoy actually doing the process. Same thing now with web design, content, and photography. When I started my photography business, I was unemployed. I had no money at all. I just quit university. I just had a complete mental breakdown, and I didn't know where I was going to go in my life, what I was going to do. I was going to be a chemist, but then all of a sudden, my whole life plan completely changed, and I was, unemployed. I was on job seekers allowance. I was getting like £50 a week benefits. And then after 6 months, they were like, no, we're cutting off your benefits because you've been unemployed too long. I was I want to start a business, can you help me? No, not one single bit of advice, not a single one bit of help, nothing from anyone in the government. That I said, all they said was if you start your own business, you'll lose any potential benefits. So I was like, okay, great, well that's really helpful, thanks. So I went to my bank and I still had an overdraft on my student bank account, They didn't know I'd quit uni, so I still had the student account, and I borrowed £200 and I bought myself a tiny little pocket digital camera, like this sort of size digital camera, back in the good old days when they were just starting to be popular. And I took that camera and I started to go to nightclubs, listening to music, dancing, and taking photos of people in the clubs. And I did this because I found it exciting. It was fun, although it didn't directly make any money. I liked the actual process of taking pictures of people in clubs. And because I was enjoying this, I decided to make a website where I would show my photos. And then because I then had a portfolio on the internet, people would see my work, and then they would either hire me to be a photographer at their event or whatever they were doing, and I could then make custom content that was based on music, dancing, photography, and web design that I could then monetize and turn it into an actual business. And through photography, I've made over $1 million. And that's the money that I actually used to invest into my electronics company. And the electronics company was based on music, dancing, and I absolutely love LEDs. As you can see from the videos of my house has thousands and thousands and thousands of LEDs in it. And that's why I started an LED lighting company, because the products that were available to buy at that time were rubbish, and I had a way of taking an existing idea and improving it to make it more accessible to other people, and people loved my designs, and it ended up being a successful business. The only thing that failed was I smashed my car and damaged my neck and couldn't work and lost all my money. But that's another story. So all the things that I've done, in terms of fitness, I started the course to become a fitness instructor. After I quit university, I wanted to find something that I enjoyed doing, and I loved going to the gym. So I wanted to learn something that I could apply to my own life to make my own life better, but also potentially use to help other people. So I learned how to become a fitness instructor. So I did the fitness instructor course, I learned about nutrition, and using these two things, I never made it as a full-time business, but I have helped other people with designing fitness programs and diet plans. And if there are people that want to be coached and helped in fitness and diet and other things, then it's possible that I can help other people. So if you're interested, then drop me a message and maybe we can have a chat. But I'm not officially a coach, but I have a lot of knowledge. So if you have specific questions about fitness, nutrition, and any other things that I talk about, then just ask me questions and I'll see if I can answer them. I may not be able to, but I can try. So all these things that I do, all of them I do for excitement, not for money. I do the things because right now, in the moment that I'm doing the thing, I find it absolutely exhilarating and full of excitement and joy. And all the hair stands up on my body. I can work for hours and hours and hours. I can hyper-focus on something and just keep going and going and going and going and going until the project is done. When I did the job for Nintendo, I did 48 hours non-stop shift because they asked me to build it in 48 hours, which was impossible, but I did it anyway. But without being excited about the idea, if it was something that I hated doing, there's no way I could have worked for 48 hours. No way, it's not possible. If something I find utterly boring, I'm not going to sit there and focus all my power on something that is completely unexciting to me. So if you're going to be in a business, then you have to want to do it because it's the actual thing that you're doing is fun for you. If it's not fun for you, you're going to fail in business because there's going to be a lot of work for not much money. And if you're doing it because you want to make money, then you're going to be disappointed in a lot of cases. So, you know, it's hard to start a business because you need skills, you need money, you need investment, you need all these other things. And people put so many limiting factors around, I can't start a business because of X, Y, Z. So I can't start a business because I don't have any money. Okay? Maybe you can't start your dream ultimate business because you've got no money, but you can start something. There must be something that you would do if you had a whole day, 24 hours, where you could do whatever you want. What would you do? And these are the things that I do. Your list would be completely unique, personal to you. And then when you write a list of everything that you would do if you had a 100% free day, that you could do anything you want, and at the end of the day you'll have nothing for what you did except for the enjoyment of doing what you did. And see what that list is. And then of that list, what's most exciting for you at the moment? So for me, the most exciting thing for me right now is making content. This is what I do every day. It's what I've been doing every day for 26 years. I started my first website in 1998, and I've been building websites ever since. I've made content that's been viewed by millions and millions of people all over the world, and I love doing this. If this video has helped one person to figure out maybe some idea that they might want to start a business from, then I've done my job. I want to inspire people to think outside the box. Society builds boxes around people and say, you are born in this environment with these parents, this is who you are, this is what your life is supposed to be. But I want to smash that little box and say, get out of that box, build your own box of the things that excite you. Not the things that excite your parents, not the things that excite your friends, not the things that excite anybody in your life, the things that excite you. What do you enjoy doing, and what would you do if you could do anything you wanted to do? And when you've identified, so making content is the primary thing that I do, but I also, that involves web design, it involves photography, it involves lighting, because I build lighting systems here. So it involves multiple things that I'm excited by. Now, apart from this YouTube channel, I actually have this hotel now, this Wonderland guest house. It's not technically a hotel, it's a guest house. It's for people to come and learn how to follow their excitement. So your excitement is the driving force of all creation. Everything that you see in the world, unless you're out in nature and you're looking at the natural environment, but anything in the man-made environment, everything you see was something that was in someone's head that eventually became a thing. So we're in a gym right now, I've got all this gym equipment. At some point, these gym equipment machines were just ideas in someone's head. They drew that idea into a picture. They then went through an engineering process to figure out how to build that picture into a physical, real object, and then that real physical object is then marketed to other people that can benefit from using that object. So if you're going to try to translate your passion into a product, you have to be excited about it. That's the absolute most important thing. One thing that really trips people up is doing something for a specific outcome. If I make a product, I want that product to be used by other people, obviously, but that's not the actual intention of making the product. The product is made because I like what I'm making. If I make a cake, I'm making that cake because I love making cake. I love eating cake. But the insistence on somebody else liking and buying that cake is not the reason I make the cake. I don't know if you can understand what I mean by that. I make it because I enjoy making the cake. If somebody else likes the cake and buys the cake, that's a bonus. Yeah, but that's not the reason for making the cake. I make the cake because I want to eat it and it's tasty and I'm going to enjoy it now. And tomorrow, maybe Tuesday, I'm going to make a new cake for you on my cooking channels. So yeah, follow your excitement without any insistence on the result. If you want to delve more into this, there's an alien called Bashar who is channeled by a man called Darrell Anker, and he teaches this system of following your excitement. It's a universal law of the universe. It's a universal law. The whole universe works on this principle. So if you want to delve more into that, he teaches it far better than I ever could. I've been following the system intuitively way before I ever heard of Bashar. 20 years before I heard of him, I'd already been following his system. So follow your excitement to the best of your ability with no insistence on the outcome. And remember that everything is here and now. Like everything that you do, there is no future, there is no past. The only time that exists is right now. So every moment you exist, you have the opportunity to choose a different path. Yeah. So you can choose to go down the same path you've always been down and go to your same job, possibly a job that you absolutely hate. You're going to the job that you hate for a reason, because they give you money and you need that money to do things with. So people sacrifice their people in now for a future payment of money so they can follow their excitement later. Yeah, so people trade their nows in exchange for money in order for them to be excited later. But if you follow your excitement now, without an insistence on getting money at the end of it, then you put yourself into a different state of mind. And by following your excitement, it triggers you to find things that are more exciting. ADHD is a dopamine-based issue. You don't have enough dopamine in certain parts of the brain in order for you to focus on specific things. But generally, you don't have the ability to focus on things that you don't care about. But if there's something that you do care about, then you can activate hyperfocus, and you can work on this non-stop all day without even needing food and drink. You can just go on raw energy because you're excited about the idea. But because people go to jobs that they hate doing, they're constantly having to stimulate themselves with coffee and other things to get through their horrible, shitty day, doing the things that they hate. By the time they get home, they're too exhausted to do anything else to follow their actual dreams. So they sit there and just waste away in front of the TV, just mindlessly being entertained until they go to their shitty job again the next day. If you're stuck in this cycle, then it can be quite soul-destroying. Future in your life is a horrible place to be. I spent 2 years in a job. My longest ever job was 2 years working in Tesco, and I was mostly in doing the shelf stacking, or I was on the till. And then later on, I was on the deli counter. It wasn't the most fun and exciting job, but I still tried to apply the principles of enjoying what I was doing in the moment, even though it wasn't my dream job to work in Tesco, but I needed something to make money in order for me to enjoy my life after work. So if you're a person who currently has a job, and say you're working 8 hours a day, so you get up, you shower, you dress, you have breakfast, you go to work, you come home. You can choose to sit in front of the TV all evening and do nothing, and just relax. Or you can use that time, those 8 hours between you get home from work and or maybe 6 hours depending on what time you finish work and what time you go to bed, but you have some time from when you finish work to before you go to bed. Fill that time with things that excite you. for no insistence on them becoming a business. Practice magic because you love practicing magic. Practice music. Practice art. Practice dance. Practice coding. Practice gaming. Whatever it is that you find the most exciting, do that then. And as much, you say you can't do it all day following your excitement. Do it as much as you can. The more you do it, the more it will build momentum, and then as you progress through life, you will be able to find more and more exciting things. But you have to make that choice that you're going to do this thing because you enjoy it, and then over time, you build your life based on everything that you find exciting, and then life just becomes magical and synchronous, and you can just... I basically follow my excitement permanently all day. I wake up and I just do what I want, and then go to bed. I wake up the next day, I do whatever I want, and then I go to bed. I just have as much fun as I possibly can in the environment that I'm in. My environment is my house and the fields and forests that go on for miles and miles around me. I love nature, but I also love technology. So my house is the technology center, and then I go outside into nature. For me, that's my dream life. Everybody has their own version of their dream life. I used to think my dream life was to live on the beach. So I tried that for 2 years. I lived in Spain, I lived on the beach. It was lovely. I did enjoy it, but it wasn't as good as my imagination of what it was going to be like. I thought it would be better than it was. But now, I live as far away as possible from a beach. I think it's 1,000 miles to the nearest beach here in the Czech Republic. It's a landlocked country. There is no beach here. But fields and mud and hiking and forests are, in my opinion, more exciting than sandy beaches. I don't really like sandy beaches, and Spain was absolutely boiling hot all the time. The summer was unbearable. I just spent the whole time in my apartment trying to hide from the sun in the air conditioning. So this wasn't very exciting for me. Here, the problem is the opposite. It's absolutely freezing cold in winter. Although global warming is helping, and it's actually much warmer now than it used to be when I first moved here 6 years ago. So yeah, my excitement changes. Go with the flow. Go with the flow. You're not always going to want to do the same thing for every day of your entire life. Some people like routine, and they like to do the same thing. Especially autistic people. People really like to have a fixed routine and know that they go to a job, they do a task, and come home, and all their responsibilities end when they leave their job. But when you're self-employed, your responsibilities never stop. You work 24 hours a day, even in your dreams, you're still working. That's why this is not suitable for every person. Some people don't want to be working 24 hours a day. But it depends on how you view work. Because I just do what excites me, I don't see it as work. As far as I'm concerned, I don't actually have a job, I don't work. I just have fun creating things for people that people find entertaining. And I don't see that as work. So I can work 24 hours a day because work for me is just fun. If I was doing magic shows all day, every day, I'd be great, I'd be happy as fuck. It's an amazing job. I love doing magic. I don't do magic so much now. My magic is now done through other means, like through lighting and through music and stuff. But if you don't feel like you're working, life becomes peaceful and magical. I'm not a billionaire. I don't have any intention of being a billionaire. I'm not interested. I'd like to earn more money than I earn, but I don't need to make millions of dollars a year. What am I going to do with it? I could possibly just buy loads of random stuff, but why? What's the point? If working harder means I enjoy my life less, then working harder is pointless. If I'm going to work harder at something, then I want to work harder at doing something that excites me and that I find find joyful and fulfilling. But if I have to work so much that life becomes tedious, then what's the point in working harder? So I have a minimalist approach to work. I work 2-3 hours a day that I would say is actually directly involved in content creation. So, doing photography, doing web design, making videos for YouTube, making other videos. I don't do this 8 hours a day. I do it a couple of hours a day. But those 2 hours, like making this video now, it's fun for me. I like helping people. I like teaching people things. So this doesn't feel like work. This doesn't make money. But the point of this video isn't to make money. The point of this video is to share information to people around the world who can use that information to help their lives improve. That's what all my videos are about, whether it's about health, in terms of eating a vegan diet, or if it's about planetary health. Vegan diet is the most sustainable diet that humans can eat for the animals, the planet, and your own. Your body it ticks every box of the most efficient diet that is beneficial for you and the planet. So if I can help people to learn more about it, then eventually, other people's lives will improve because I shared the information that's in my head. So my life mission now is to help other people to make their lives more fun and exciting. Because people seem to live such miserable lives, and it's sad, especially seeing so many people just feel like they're utterly trapped in their situation and they can't escape, so they kill themselves. The leading cause of death in the autism community is suicide, which is absolutely terrible, and we need to stop this. But society makes life so fucking difficult for people that have any kind of different brain structure, that it becomes just torture to exist in this world. So I'm going to try and help make a better world where people actually give a shit about themselves, give a shit about other people and the planet that we live on. Because we only have one planet. So what can you do to make the planet better? What can you do to make your life better? What can you do to make other people's lives better? And if you find something that you're passionate about that helps other people, you can become a successful business person. And I've got 34 years now doing this, and however long I live for, I don't know, maybe I live to be 80, 100, who knows. But for the rest of my life, I will keep trying to help other people to live their dream life. So this is a very basic introduction, but it's already over an hour long, so I don't want to babble on for 100 years about this subject, but I could. Okay, so find something that excites you, do it and do it and do it as much as you possibly can until you get to a point where you either have enough knowledge or enough skills to market those skills to somebody else to help their lives improve. And that's the basics of all business. Facebook, the primary function of Facebook is to connect people. And it's one of the biggest companies in the world because people need connection. And Facebook is a very easy, free way for people to talk over the entire planet. It's an amazing invention. Maybe whether you like Zuckerberg or not, it's a really cool product that 2 billion people use now. Okay, maybe some of their marketing is a bit intrusive, just a little bit weird when they're having your mind read by an algorithm, but basically social media is the collective unconsciousness of the planet. You're basically a mind that through vibrational communication, I'm now communicating vibrationally through my voice box to vibrate the air molecules to stimulate movement in a microphone in my camera, which is converting that to a digital signal, which is recorded onto a memory card, which I then upload to YouTube, which then translates that digitally to every PC in the world. So my mind can basically connect to millions of people through technology, and hopefully through that connection people can grow and improve their lives and help other people to improve their lives too. So I'm not going to go on forever, but this is the basics. If you have any questions about business stuff, then let me know in the comments. But the basics are covered here. I'm going to talk a little bit more in detail about my electronics company, because that was the biggest random investment that I ever did, and the biggest failure is I lost £500,000. But it doesn't matter if you lose everything, as long as you don't lose your brain, your mind, you can start again. But you don't start again from zero. You may start again from zero financially, but you start again with the experience that you've already had. So at 34, I ended up homeless, lost everything. But now I've rebuilt from there to own a hotel, and one day I hope to have thousands and thousands of subscribers that are helping to improve their lives and the lives of the people around them, and make this world a better place for all life. So it's enough for today. Hope this helps you in some way to find out what your potential future business could be. And if you don't want to run a business, then don't. But if you do want to run a business, then follow your excitement and you'll get there. Bye for now.